The 6 o'clock news starts right now.
A lot of money and a lot of ads going into this campaign for a new Spurs arena downtown. How much the team is kicking in and what that could mean about how confident they are.
And you can sure hear the wind there in Garrett's microphone. It is howling now. That's the cold front that moved through a few hours ago from a record high temperature today to dropping below average and at more than 20 degrees cooler come tomorrow. We'll talk about the wind, the dry air, the fire risk, and just how cold it's going to get in just a bit.
Plus, how a love triangle may have played a role in a deadly shooting at a local motel. What we know about this investigation.
And it's one of the city's most beloved traditions, and organizers need help. We're going to show you how to get involved with this year's Raul Jimenez Thanksgiving dinner. But first, we want to bring you some breaking news just into our newsroom a short time ago. We have learned that the Uvalde CISD has released thousands of more documents related to the Robb Elementary School shooting. More than 45,000 pages to be exact. That includes safety and security meeting notices, personnel files as well. As you can imagine, there was still a lot that we don't know about what is in all of those documents. Our team is in the newsroom right now going through those records as we speak. So you can go to KSAT.com to read more about everything we know so far, and of course we'll continue to update you. All right, as we continue here this evening, we appreciate you joining us. We want to get right to the forecast, Adam, to talk about this fall weather, the cold front in that wind. That's its arrival. What are the temperatures going to change?
Oh, it's here. It is here. It has arrived, and temperatures already are dropping noticeably, especially tomorrow morning. But the low point temperature-wise is going to be Thursday morning. We'll get to that in a moment. I want to focus on what you're feeling out there right now and this evening, and that's wind gusts 30 to 35 miles per hour. As we go through the night, we will likely have even higher gusts, I think 40 to 45 miles per hour. And in the hill country, there could be a few, peaks out there along the ridges that could even see some gusts up to 50 miles per hour overnight. So we're looking at very high winds tonight, through the day tomorrow, and very dry air moving in with that cooler air and the high winds. So we went from 91 this afternoon down to 77 right now. We hit 91. That's a record by 1 degree for the day. Then the cold front hit. We're 77 right now, but Comfort 73, Lost Maples 71. Temperatures are responding to this cold front. But you go up to Lubbock, 61, Amarillo 55, Wichita Falls 66. But how about Laredo, 97? Huge temperature difference. That's because the front is still working its way southward toward Corpus Christi and Laredo, and then Brownsville, typically the last ones to get these cold fronts as they move southward. So temperatures falling quickly this evening. Tomorrow morning, have the hoodie sweatshirt ready to go. The light jacket, 52 here in San Antonio, but some upper 40s in outlying areas. Bulverde 48, Hondo, Sabinal 49, and Gonzales about 52 for the morning temperature. Downright legit jacket weather. Then as we get into Thursday morning, we'll talk about how cold that's going to get, how long this is going to hang around. And we've been fine-tuning the extended forecast with another chance of rain. We'll get into that in just a bit.
All righty, sir. Thank you. Well, it's a full court press, a campaign to convince voters to help fund a new downtown arena. It's reporting more than $7 million in contributions. So that is an astronomical amount for a local campaign, according to a political science professor that our Garrett Berger talked to. Garrett joins us now live from the Pearl this evening, where a campaign event is happening right now. So, Garrett, have we seen how they are using all this money?
Well, I know I have almost every time I open up my mailbox. These mailers are just from the Win Together campaign. They're supporting both propositions A and B. Most of the focus has been on B, which is about a new Spurs arena downtown. Now, political consultants tell us mailers like this probably cost less than $1, which this campaign, it sounds like, can definitely afford.
Mailers, text, social media, TV. The Win Together campaign is trying hard to sway voters. They've got the dollars to try and do it.
What's kind of your one-word description of the amount of money that's in this campaign?
Impressive. One could say astronomical.
Just over $7 million in reported contributions, most from the Spurs organization itself, whether from writing checks or in-kind donations like polling and advertising services. And the Spurs reported spending another $356,000 apart from the PAC.
And I cannot think of, at least in the time I've been here and in previous years in San Antonio, to see so much money spent on a proposition.
Prop B is on the county portion of the Spurs arena funding. But if it gets voted down, the wider deal collapses, leaving the team to renegotiate or figure out other options. So the vote is crucial for them. And the only publicly released polling, a UTSA poll from early October, found a lack of support.
So maybe it was a wake-up call, our poll, in which, we're behind. We need to really get in gear and spend a lot of money to get the information out there, get our side of the story, and get people to basically buy into our side of the story for support. That may be a lot of it right there.
In an emailed statement, a spokeswoman said in part, quote, "We've knocked on nearly 150,000 doors, participated in over 100 community and local business meetings, and spent real time answering questions one-on-one. We're investing more to communicate the right way because voters want facts." Meanwhile, one of the main opposition campaigns, the COPS Metro-linked Defending Public Money for Public Good PAC, isn't nearly as cash flush. Though its treasurer told us over the phone, they've also been putting in work.
I think we've done so much shoe leather, block walking and phone banking, talking to people all over town. I think that's much more effective than spending money on ads.
But it's not dollars that are going to win an election. It's going to be votes, which can be hard in an off-year election like this. So both sides are going to be trying to drive turnout. We're actually seeing over at this Win Together event, they've got a trolley set up over on the other side on the street for the Pearl. So that way they can bring people to polling sites if they so desire. Live at the Pearl, I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
All right, Garrett, thank you. We are just days away from the suspension of SNAP benefits, and a number of families will be looking at other resources, including church food pantries. SNAP stands for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It provides a government subsidy to help families buy groceries. On November 1st, the government is suspending that benefit. The food pantry administrator at King of Kings Lutheran Church says that last week, before SNAP benefits stopped, they had to turn away 20 cars. She says it is going to take more donations and volunteers to keep going.
It's a matter of faith. You know, we're praying for more volunteers. And of course, if we can increase, we're going to pray for a little more money.
Sadlin says the King of Kings food pantry has an emergency backup supply, but says that could go quickly due to high demand.
Well, a man is dead tonight as a result of an apparent love triangle. It happened around 8:15 this morning at the Starlight Motel on Fredericksburg Road, not far from Vance Jackson and I-10. So that is where San Antonio police say the man was in an argument with the mother of his children and her new boyfriend. At some point during the fight, the man was shot twice in the chest. He was taken to a hospital where he later died. We also know 3 people were taken in for questioning, but we still don't know who fired the shots. We also want to remind you, if you or someone you know is in a domestic violence situation right now, please get help. You can scan the QR code on your screen and it will take you to a full list of free resources. It's going to be 8 years probation for the woman who was caught on camera hitting her puppy several times. 23-year-old Havana Miller had accepted a guilty plea back in September after pleading no contest to a third-degree animal cruelty charge. In addition to her probation, a Bexar County judge said Miller must complete 150 hours of community service and pay a $2,000 fine. She also is not allowed to own any pets. Animal Care Services says the 3-month-old poodle that Miller was seen hitting in the video has since been adopted.
Also in court today, testimony shed some new light on how SAPD filed a warrant to have 3 former officers arrested. That's after they shot and killed Melissa Perez in her own apartment back in 2023. The defense questioned the lead detective in this case, Ronald Soto. Now, earlier testimony from the medical examiner revealed that Perez had only been hit twice by bullets, despite more than a dozen rounds being fired. The defense also asked Soto if he shared those details when he filed the warrant to have all 3 officers arrested. That's Eleazar Alejandro, Alfred Flores, and Nathaniel Villalobos.
When you walked that warrant, when you made your affidavit, did you include in the affidavit that you gave to a magistrate that it was impossible for all 3 of these officers to have committed murder?
No, I didn't.
You didn't. You didn't tell the magistrate at all that there were only 2 gunshot wounds in Melissa Pettit.
I did not.
The 3 officers were arrested 16 hours after the shooting, but it wasn't until months later that it was discovered that the bullets that hit Perez were from the guns shot by Flores and Alejandro, not Villalobos. All 3 men face up to life in prison if convicted. Testimony is expected to continue in this trial tomorrow morning, and we are live streaming this trial on all of our KSAT streaming platforms.
It is a concept straight out of a sci-fi movie that could soon be in your child's school. This is the Campus Guardian Angel system at work. The Austin-based startup says the goal is for their drones to stop a school shooting in just 15 seconds. Now, if the system is launched, drones are piloted out of this space you see there in Austin. Each one is equipped with sirens, pepper balls, and can even break a window.
These drones aren't lethal?
Right. I mean, I'm gonna hit you at 60, 70 miles an hour. It's not gonna kill you. It's like getting hit by a baseball bat.
Now, One Hill Country District is already planning to have the drones installed on campus. And tonight on the Night Beat, KSAT Investigates Daniela Ibarra explains why Bernie ISD bought into this idea.
Volunteer registration opened today for the 46th annual Raul Jimenez Thanksgiving dinner. Organizers who put on the San Antonio tradition are looking for volunteers to help prepare and serve all those meals. The dinner provides more than 25,000 Thanksgiving meals to people in need every single year. But this year, organizers are planning to feed closer to 30,000 people.
We're going to do everything that we can to ensure that we have what we need so that we don't run out of food and that we do have a way to serve all those people that walk in the door.
The volunteer registration can be found on the Raul Jimenez Thanksgiving Dinner website. Registration is also open for people who would like to have a meal delivered. You can call 211 and select option 1 to sign up for a meal delivery.
And just 5 more Thursdays until Thanksgiving.
Oof.
Just saying. Outside right now, 281 at 410. Again, the sun is definitely out, but that might be a little deceiving right now as the weather changes in, and these drivers are no doubt probably battling some of the wind that Adams talked about out there. But heavy traffic out there, no indication of an accident, but we'll certainly continue to keep an eye on it for you and give you any updates if necessary.
Early voting is underway, and depending on what school district you live in, you could be asked to weigh in on a tax rate increase. We'll show you which districts and what those tax rate increases mean after the break. Five school districts in Bexar County are asking voters for financial relief.
So if you live in one of these districts, your specific ballot will ask you to check yes or no for an increase on your tax rate to go toward these school districts.
So Sarah Acosta tells us why we can expect to see these tax rate elections on the ballot more and more often.
If you live in Bernie, Schertz-Cibolo Universal City, Judson, East Central, or Livonia school districts in Bexar County, this November election you'll be asked to check for or against a tax rate increase. Here are what the following increases look like for every $100 in value. Bernie ISD by 2 cents, East Central ISD 5 cents, SCUC ISD 12 cents, Judson ISD 4.5 cents, and Livonia would go up 3 cents. A former superintendent of one of the biggest school districts in San Antonio, Dr. Brian Woods, says these increases can be used broadly, usually for things like student programming or improving day-to-day operational expenses. These are different from school bonds, which are for specific projects.
This is the part of the tax that pays for teacher pay, for custodians, for putting fuel in buses, for turning the lights on in classrooms. It's that day-to-day operations piece where districts are really struggling to make ends meet.
He says voters can expect to see more of these voter-approved tax rate elections more often.
The reason for districts going out for tax rate elections this November and as I said, last November and very likely next November in different districts is more of the function of inflation and the lack of additional state funding, and districts have been surviving on their fund balance.
Woods points out that this last legislative session was one of the first school funding increases to Texas schools in several years. Just this year, House Bill 2 allocated $8.5 billion towards public school, which could have voters asking,
why do schools still need more money?
Wood says half of that money went to teacher salary increases, and the other half went to very specific expenses.
There were very few additional dollars for any other employee. Think custodians, bus drivers, child nutrition workers, instructional assistants, secretaries in the schools. So a lot of districts are using it partially for teacher pay, but partially to go help pay all those other staff who are important to the way a school operates.
If you go to your school district's website, for example, like Bernie ISD, they explain exactly how they plan on spending that money. I'm Sarah Costa, KSAT 12 News.
Viva Fiesta. Never too early. Fiesta's months away, but the party is already getting started. And so with that, let's take you live right now to the San Antonio Garden Center, where we're getting our first look at some of Fiesta's at least one of Fiesta's most popular events, and the yellow might give it away.
I was going to say, take a guess which one we're talking about here. The 135th Annual Battle of Flowers Parade. Tonight's preview will give us a glimpse of what we are going to see come April. That list includes the parade theme, of course, and the Battle of Flowers medal.
And we're going to bring you more from the Battle of Flowers reveal tonight on the Night Beat. Now, don't forget to mark your calendars. The Battle of Flowers Parade kicks off Friday, April 24th, 2026, or 178 days from today.
Ernie is counting.
Yes, I am.
But let's forget about all the humidity and heat that Fiesta.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Because right now we are going to enjoy talking about the cold front that it's making its way into San Antonio, Adam.
Now, I do remember a couple, and I mean like one or two, Fiestas where we actually had a cool front move through and drop the humidity and stuff. It's happened. It's not common, but it has happened. So we're going to fast forward to Thursday morning when we said, see if you can find your jackets, dust them off, get them out, hang them by the front door, whatever. We mean it, because by Thursday morning, we're down near 40 degrees here in San Antonio. That means in the hill country, we'll be in the mid-30s, and some nooks and crannies in the hill country, Junction, for example, even, will be flirting with the freezing point by sunrise on Thursday morning. That's our low point temperature-wise. Tomorrow, 52, good solid hoodie, sweatshirt weather in the morning. It's gonna be great. And then 41 Thursday, 43 Friday morning, and then we're back in the lower 50s this weekend. But here's the key. Notice how we stay below average for a long stretch here. The average low is 56. And we're going to talk about relative humidity. We talked about the wind. It's going to be gusty, winds 40, 45 miles per hour at times tonight through all of tomorrow. Usually we just talk about dew points, the true measure of moisture in the air. But we need to talk about relative humidity, because this plays a big role in the fire weather potential. So right now, relative humidity, 54%. That means the air is holding 54% of the moisture that it can at the current temperature. Watch how this trend really changes. The relative humidity percentages by tomorrow afternoon, they plummet down to 12 to 15%. So that means the air is holding only about 12% of the moisture that it can at the given temperature. Very dry air moving in. And that gives us the red flag warning, the enhanced fire danger. Now, this doesn't mean that the weather is going to cause any fires, but if there were to be a fire or, say, an illegal burn pile, something like that, the fire would spread very rapidly. So obviously no burn piles. We have a burn ban in just about every county in our area. Even power tools that create sparks, especially around tall grass, can be an issue. Disposing of cigarettes properly, trailer chains that drag on the ground can cause sparks and can sometimes ignite the tall, dry grass on the side of the road. Even just parking your hot catalytic converter and exhaust system over very tall grass that touches it can do it in these conditions. All right, notice how Saturday we get a little uptick in humidity. That's a direct result of the wind coming off the Gulf, and then also directly correlated to our next chance of rain. So here's the big trough that's digging down in the U.S. here, pulling the cooler air into town. That's going to be here for several days, but then a new system drops in, and this one is going to give us a little upper level push of energy on Saturday, giving us at least a slight chance of rain. Right now that's at 30%, but it would not surprise me if we raise that percentage in the days ahead. 91 our high today. That's a new record by 1 degree. So from record high temperature today to 10 degrees below average tomorrow in the upper 60s. Right now, 60s already in the hill country, but we have 90s farther south of town. 77 at the airport, 65 at 10 p.m. Gusty all night long. Tomorrow morning, 52, 63 at noon, and then 68 for the high temperature. Of course, very low humidity. We talked about that. And the gusty winds steady out of the northwest at 20 to 25. If you haven't unplugged your Halloween inflatables, please do so as soon as possible. It's going to be gusty all night tonight and through tomorrow. And even that steady wind of 20 to 25. Now, notice tomorrow afternoon, 65 in Helotes, 70 on the south side, Poteet 70, Bulverde only 67. We do get back to 70 degrees on Thursday. By Friday, Halloween, we're at 75 for the afternoon high, and then in the 70s this upcoming weekend. And I do want to point out, trick-or-treating around sunset, 70 degrees on Friday. We have our weekly Q&A with the mayor coming right up.
We're loving it. It's we always love playing basketball no matter what, but it's a little bit easier, to go to bed at night when you win. It's easier to come to practice. It's easier to do the hard things.
The Spurs have matched their best start to a season, 4-0 for the first time since 2017 in big board sports. Well, the Spurs controlled tempo last night, finishing with just 67 field goal attempts on nearly 60% shooting as a team in a 121-103 takedown of the Toronto Raptors. 6 different Spurs finished in double-figure scoring, led by a combined 46 points from Victor Wembanyama and Stephon Castle. You see the 360 layup right there. And now this early part of the season is made for overreactions, but what isn't an overreaction is the promise the Spurs are showing in how they've stayed poised through adversity. A part of that stems from trust and the vibes, which Harrison Barnes says are high.
They're high. I mean, there's a lot of, I think, off-court chemistry that that has been built over the summer, just, guys hanging out, things like that. And I think that's showing up on the court. I think the connectivity is showing up on the court. And, whether we're 4-0 or 0-4, I just feel like the energy is different. So I think that's just the biggest thing that I've noticed, just in terms of how guys communicate, how guys are connected, in timeouts, on the court, during runs, positive and negative, all those types of things.
We love the competition. Glad we have them at home and get to compete against the best. That's what we've been preaching all week. It's the best team in the Sun Belt that we played so far, and so we got to make sure we bring it.
Hope you're ready for Tuesday night college football. 3-4 Texas State will take on one of the last remaining undefeated teams in the Sun Belt Conference. 6-1 James Madison tonight in San Marcos. Now, despite Texas State's offense ranking first in the Sun Belt in total yards, the Bobcats find themselves still without a conference win. Meanwhile, the Dukes and their Sun Belt best defense enter tonight's game favored by a touchdown. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock. All right, a fun scheduling announcement today. The Rio Grande Valley's FCS college football team, the UTRGV Vaqueros, have scheduled a date with UTSA next season. Now, as far as this week on national television, this Saturday inside of the Alamo Dome, 3-4 UTSA will host the American Conference's second place 6-1 Tulane Green Wave, at 6:30. Now, the Roadrunners are fired up for a chance to get back on track after suffering a 55-17 loss at North Texas. Here's Coach Traylor on the long bye week and his excitement for ESPN Sports Center to be on campus for the game.
The longest week and a half in the history of week and a halves. It's been 6 weeks of a bye. Yeah, we're excited about that. Those guys do a super job, and that's why you got to invest in football. The marketing you get, they're going to be on our campus. You're talking about ESPN, where all of us grew up. Every one of us right here grew up addicted to ESPN, or we would not be doing the jobs we do. And for those guys to be on our campus, to show off an amazing city, a great university, wow.
We have more on SportsCenter's visit to UTSA on KSAT.com. All right, 18 innings. Last night's Game 3 of the World Series went 18 innings, the second longest World Series game, and it was Freddie Freeman, the hero, walking it off with a solo shot for the Dodgers, which is not the first time for Freddie in the World Series. Now the defending champion Dodgers lead 2-1 in the series as both clubs turn around for Game 4 tonight. I stayed up and watched every single pitch.
Oh, to be young again.
Yeah,
Mary?
and I'm feeling good today. Tired, but
yeah, no.
Gotta love baseball.
Maybe get a power. Well, I don't know when you get a power nap in here. I don't know. We'll
no
see.
time for that.
That's fair enough. All right, Mary.
Thanks,
thank
Mary.
you.
Okay, coming up next, Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones right here in the studio with us for our Q&A.
Mayor just reminded us we're a week away from election night, but we have so many things to get to here in our weekly conversation with Mayor Jones.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Always appreciate your time on Tuesdays. We know that close to 300,000 people in San Antonio are looking at their SNAP benefits being suspended this weekend. We're already dealing with a big military population, a lot of people not sure when their paychecks are coming because of the government shutdown. What is the city looking at in terms of stepping in to help those in need?
Yeah, so our figure is 35,000 SNAP recipients. So this is what is great about San Antonio is when there's a need, we come together. So I've spent a good chunk of the day on the phone with some business leaders and saying, hey, we're very concerned about what may happen with again, the freeze, the pause in the benefits. Because even if the government came back up tomorrow or the day after, it's not clear to us that they would necessarily be able to turn that back on that quickly, right? So I'm very thankful to many of the local business leaders that have already, when I asked, have committed to help us with that. And so we're looking largely at helping those SNAP recipients that are seniors. And then largely those that would overlap with the WIC, Women, Infant, Children program, right? So it's about 4,000 folks in this bucket. Let me just frankly give them credit where it's due. Very thankful. Frost Bank has committed 100,000. Spurs have committed 100,000. HEB has done 100,000. USAA, my bank, is showing everybody up with 250K. So these are not. This is again. This is just something that we have been working on in earnest today. But the intent is, if needed, we'll be able to very quickly buy those HEB food cards for those that are impacted by, again, the freeze and SNAP benefits. And very thankful to those businesses that have already stepped up and would like to and encourage others that would like to be generous in that way to also reach out.
Well, it's the end of the month. A lot of SAWS bills and CPS energy bills are due. And you touched on this earlier about just to remind people that as we speak, there are plenty of resources to help people who are having a hard time.
And, thankfully, look, San Antonio, we own our utilities. So it's, great to be able to have, I had a call yesterday with Rudy at CPS, who runs CPS, and Robert Puente at SAWS, and say, hey, how can we help folks? And so, if you're a federal worker, military or civil servant impacted by the shutdown, if you're impacted potentially by these SNAP benefits, call them. And they are more than willing to work with you on what is manageable. No one wants anybody, and they've both committed in both of those instances. Similar to COVID, there will not be disconnects, and folks will not go. There won't be collection, right? But it's really important people are proactive. So please call SAWS, call CPS if you're impacted there and need some help.
Yeah.
At the same time, we have seen a lot of businesses shutting down in our area, especially restaurants lately. There's been seemingly kind of a rash of closures. What does that say to you about just the state of the local economy and especially just smaller businesses in San Antonio?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Some of these kind of names that we have known for a while, and I think it shows what we all know when we go into the grocery store, is that food is more expensive, which means you've got less money in your pocket. You've got less disposable income. And so whether you're talking about the federal shutdown, whether you're talking about DOGE cuts, let's not also forget, some of the labor challenges as a result of some of these immigration policies, tariffs, right? Inflation, all these things are driving up costs, which means the money in our pocket doesn't go as far. So unfortunately, that's kind of what it looks like. You've got less disposable income. Unfortunately, these restaurants are having a really tough time. So unfortunately, some of this is needless. We really need, our federal government to get back to work. We really need to have smart economic policies that are rooted in things that are going to benefit our country, not hurt it.
Okay, we told you we had a long list of things. So now we're going to jump to Wahalote Ranch, which is in the Helotes area. And this is something that could impact the drinking water of a lot of people watching this right now. And just before we came on the air, you mentioned there's kind of an update in those negotiations.
Yeah, well, TECQ approved the permit for that development. And so what I did last week after that is reach out to Lennar and just say, hey, what in fact is your path forward to provide wastewater services there?
That's the developer, by the way.
That's right,
yeah.
Lennar Development, Lennar Homes rather.
Right.
And so we don't need to go through kind of endless scenarios. Tell us what your way ahead is, and we'll go through there as we look to manage the truths and some of the misperceptions around some of the public health risk there. But it's really important. We've got a way forward. This has been dragging on for years. And again, there was a lot that folks were waiting on with these permits. So look forward to that answer on the 31st.
Okay. The 31st is the deadline that you've given
right.
them, asking them for a response by that time.
I did say please, but yes, the 31st would be great. Thanks.
Okay. As we're kind of wrapping things up here, we're talking about a change in the weather. Nothing, freezing at all coming our way. Not talking about that. But you're part of the CPS board as mayor. Yeah. So are you having conversations yet about their preparedness for the winter months, for when things really do get cold around here?
Yeah, look, I have every confidence in the CPS team. Rudy does a great job, and I am very thankful. Actually, before almost every board meeting, they bring out the techs, all the techs that work, all the CPS folks that also work out in the field and do such great work to keep things up and running. So I've got all the confidence in the world on those. And if you'd allow me just 30 more seconds, let me encourage folks, if they haven't already, earlier today at 1 p.m. is when the volunteer links went live for the Raul Jimenez dinner, right, which is next Thursday. So I'm so thankful, Patricia Jimenez and her family. This is the 46th year that this will be happening. Originally, they were planning for 25,000 meals, but frankly, based on the need in our community, they're going to up that to 29,000. I'm so thankful. Kim Rapier and that foundation very generously at that press conference this morning offered to do another 50K. So our community is so generous. There are so many people in need right now. But again, this only works if we've got volunteers to pass out those meals and do all the things that week that make that happen. So that link is live. Raul Jimenez dinner.com. Please sign up. And honestly, it was personal for me. I think, have you gone to high school in San Antonio if you haven't volunteered at one of these things, right? So please, step up if you've got the time to do that. And thanks for everybody that's already taken the time to sign up.
Yeah, I believe we have the link on our website too. We've covered that a lot throughout the day, and the meal delivery that they are anticipating more and more people needing this year too. So lots of ways to volunteer.
211 is that number to sign up if you need that. And of course, if you've got even a little bit more change in your pocket, please donate to the food bank.
Yeah, makes a difference. Mayor, thanks for being here.
Thank you all.
Always appreciate it.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Hi, welcome back now. So this week on Connect with the Council, I'm visiting with Ivalise Mesa Gonzalez in District 8. She chose Denman Estate Park as the setting for our conversation, which touched on her early council work, her goal to bring a community center to her district, and the very personal comeback she made a few months ago after being arrested for DWI in late July. Yeah, certainly not here to rehash what happened early in your term and everything. You've already talked about that. But I am fascinated by, and I think it's people can relate to overcoming that, getting back on your feet, having to face your constituents. How much can you tell me about that process and how you've come out the other end of that?
I think it's exactly what you said, right? It's about being accountable, being responsible for decisions, and being honest about that. And so that's the most I can do. That's the least that they should expect of me. And so we've done that, and feel really good about the conversations I have with HOA presidents, the response I'm getting. So it's great.
I mean, in a way, does this work kind of provide a distraction from everything else happening around you?
No. I mean, we kind of compartmentalize things and just get things done.
Yeah. What is top of mind, the biggest thing on your plate right now?
For me, it's making sure that our residents know that we're here, right? We're 3 months in, so some people might not even know that they have a new council member, might not know me yet, may not have voted. So just really making sure that we're touching residents, right, with newsletters, emails, HOA meetings, being present so they get to know us.
Mesa Gonzalez is no stranger to politics and public service. She most recently served as chief of staff under former Mayor Ron Nirenberg, and her late mother Choco Mesa was a longtime activist and fixture on San Antonio's west side.
I've been involved in scene campaigns my entire life.
Yeah.
And I believe in that there's still good electeds out there and that are working hard, and that's what I want to do.
And in the digital age and everything, because obviously your mom, when she was starting, I mean, it's obviously a different time.
Yeah, very different. Now they had clipboards and pens. Writing things on paper, and now everything's on your phone.
So you were predestined essentially to do these kinds of things.
I follow that path, yes.
That's a good conversation.
Appreciate it. And go to KSAT.com for the full. We talked a long time, and they even brought me baklava, and we enjoyed that there from a small business in District 8. So I appreciate that.
All right, look at this shot outside from our live cam. We, of course, are talking about the colder weather headed our way and also that huge hurricane out in the Atlantic next.
We do have our own weather changes, but Hurricane Melissa, the big story down in the Caribbean and now Jamaica, the strongest storm to ever hit Jamaica. This is high-resolution satellite imagery from sunrise early this morning. And if you look very closely, you'll see little extra pinwheels in the eye of Melissa. Those are the mesovortices that form within these very powerful hurricanes. And then this was Melissa at landfall about noon as a Category 5 hurricane, max sustained winds of 185 miles per hour. Luckily, that was confined to a small area just outside of the eye, but still, that small area getting slammed. And of course, the heavy rain, the mudslides, the flooding, so much else with this system. Now it's a Category 3. Max wind still 125 miles per hour. This is still a major hurricane as it sets its eyes on eastern Cuba. And right now, the latest from the Hurricane Center is to re-intensify to a Cat 4 shortly before landfall in eastern Cuba, cross over Cuba, then weaken as it impacts some of the Bahamas, and then heading toward Bermuda as a Category 2. So that was a major, major hurricane and the strongest storm on Earth this year, and one of the strongest we've seen in several years in the Atlantic Basin. We've only seen a handful quite so strong with such low central pressure. Winds around here out of the north, gusting to 30, 35 miles per hour. That's going to be the case for a while through the night and all the way through the entire day tomorrow. We'll have those wind gusts, I think at times up to 40 miles per hour. Some of the peaks and the ridges in the hill country could have 50 mile per hour gusts at some of the highest elevations through the night tonight. It's all about the relative humidity. When it comes to the wind and the dry air and the fire danger, relative humidity. Right now, relative humidity, 57%. So the air is holding 57% of the moisture, the water, that it can at the current temperature. Those numbers are going to plunge tomorrow. So we'll have much drier air move in, dew points are going to plummet, and the relative humidity is going to be down in the teens and even lower teens at times. That combined with the high winds gives us the enhanced fire danger. So we have the red flag warning in effect, and basically this means that if there were to be a fire, it would spread very rapidly. And it doesn't take as much to trigger a fire in these conditions. You know, campfire, burn piles, still not allowed because we have so many burn bans in the area. Power tools that create sparks, cigarettes, make sure you dispose of them properly. Don't drag your trailer chains because they can create sparks, and then the tall, dry grass on the side of the road can ignite quickly. Very dry air up until Saturday. A little uptick in the humidity before it falls off again. And that uptick in the humidity Saturday is going to give us a chance of rain. All the shower activities right up and down the midsection of the country, but north of us. We did have a few downpours farther to the east, just outside of Seguin and in Hallettsville earlier today from the front, but that was quick splash and dash. We're watching this next system drop southward for Saturday. That should push enough upper energy through our area, combined with that little bit of Gulf moisture that's going to uptick, to give us at least the chance of a few showers on Saturday, and then also dry out the air again and give us a reinforcing shot. 95 in Laredo, 53 in Amarillo. Now that's a fall cold front for you. 73 right now in town. By the way, we did have a record high temperature of 91 earlier today. By 8 o'clock, we're at 69. 10 o'clock, we're at 65. Tomorrow morning, we start the day at 52, then only make it to 68 in the afternoon. Very low humidity, still very gusty. Tomorrow, upper 60s to near 70. Then our coolest will be Thursday morning, down in the lower 40s. Be right back in a minute.
All right, we're minutes away from ABC prime time tonight at 7 o'clock. It is Dancing with the Stars, followed by High Potential at 9 o'clock. And then we hope you'll join us at 10 o'clock for the Night Beat.
That is all our time. Thanks for watching the news at 6.
Hope to see you tonight at 10 for the Night Beat. Have a good night.